What is up, people? Thanks for joining me. Today we got a fun video, as you know by the title of it. This is my top 10 MCU films, not Sony, anything else. The old X-Men films, anything like that doesn't count. This is only the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting in Iron Man 1 up until Eternals. I have not seen Eternals. I did see Shang-Chi and really liked it. Spoiler alert, it did not make my top 10, but it would be right there in honorable mentions, 11 and 12. Kind of middle of the pack, upper middle of the pack, but great movie. But anyway, so I got an email, Guru had tagged me from Xtreme Channel, and so what the deal is Jim Mint had done his video, and it's like a tag thing. You tag two people to do the same thing. So he had tagged Xtreme, and Xtreme tagged me and another person. So anyway, here's the top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies according to moi.
Thor Ragnarok.
First up, coming in at number 10, a controversial movie. A lot of people hated it for what it did to the Thor universe, or the Thor character, should I say, that it was too goofy or whatever, but I appreciated the humor of it. Taika Waititi, who is the only Marvel director to have an area of Hawaii named after him, which not many people know that, so just a little bit of tidbit of information there. So I dig his humor. He's got a goofy sense of humor, and he does, I get the impression he doesn't take anything he does too seriously, which I appreciate. People that can poke fun of themselves or what they're doing and have fun in it. You can tell that the cast was having fun in the movie. Just a fun movie. I didn't really care so much that it wasn't the Where Art Thou, Thor or whatever. Just looked like they were having fun. Good story, kept me captivated. Hela was a great villainess in it, and just everything about it was awesome. So that comes in at number 10.
Black Panther.
All right, so you may say number 9 for Black Panther. That's kind of low. For me, Black Panther was a phenomenal movie until about the halfway part, and then it became very pedestrian for me. The first of it just was so, it's very similar to me, spoiler alert, to Infinity War and Endgame. To me, Infinity War and Endgame are the same continuation of movie, and we won't get into it, but anyway, just what was built up did not deliver as we went along, but just my opinion. So fantastic acting, one of the best villains, because he was so, such as the best villains to me in the MCU are the sympathetic ones, someone that you get what their beef is, or you get what their motivation is. That was definitely the case with Killmonger, and just once they got to the halfway point of the movie, I felt it became very overly CG'd and nothing special on the second half of it. Although the end scenes were touching and good there, but anyways, they just needed to keep going with what they had built on. So that's number 9.
Captain America Civil War.
All right, coming in at number 8, Civil War, a movie that a lot of people didn't love, or what wouldn't necessarily put in their top 10, but I liked it. I thought the interplay with all the characters and splitting them to get a motivation for the team to fight one another, I thought was very well written and well done, and just they had a lot of story there that could have gotten very muddled, and I thought they did a good job with it. Really liked Zemo's character as a villain, and the fact that he was a cerebral villain and not power laser blast fights, etc., but that he fought a psychological battle that tore the Avengers apart for a while there. So the end scenes with the classic battle with Bucky Cap and Iron Man was just about as well done as you can imagine, that I can imagine. or asked for. So big thumbs up, and one that I really like. So in my criteria for all these, it's rewatchability. You know, do I watch them again if it's on TV, or, you know, are the movies that I tune into again and again and again? Civil War is one of those. So
Doctor Strange.
this movie, I did not read Doctor Strange comics growing up. So, you know, whenever I saw it, I was like, okay, black magic and, you know, mysticism and all that kind of stuff. You know, I was just like, I didn't really follow the character, didn't care, you know, for what he was about, you know, battles or whatever. I wasn't too much into the cosmic stuff, so to speak. But man, this movie was awesome and a total surprise. And there's been a lot of movies like that for me. Ant-Man, I went into it going, I don't care about this character or whatever. Love the movie. Spoiler alert again, he didn't make the list, but was a very surprising, great movie. Shang-Chi, I'd never heard of Shang-Chi, literally had never heard of it until Marvel announced the movie, and I love that character. So I've learned to go into their movies with an open mind, because very often characters that I didn't love or were totally unknown to me, I love the movie. So Doctor Strange, great premise, great build-up. Felt that his growth in it could have been expanded a little bit. I have a feeling that a lot of stuff ended up on the cutting room floor there, but overall, for the material that they were handling and all the Inception style craziness or whatever, was extremely well done and portrayed, and totally bought into his character growth. Cumberbatch, man, what an actor, just kills it. So he's become one of my favorite characters from being somebody that I didn't even follow in the comics. So outstanding.
Avengers Endgame.
All right, so I got Endgame at number 6. Why? Because Infinity War was so good that Endgame was, to say let down is not fair, but it just was not as good, so it bumped it down the list for me. There are some parts of it that are fantastic. The end battle, I mean, oh my goodness. Just from that whole entire end scene with Cap with the hammer, Avengers Assemble, all that, I mean, it's just something that you waited to see since you were very, very little and reading the comics or whatever, something that epic of scale. And I am not a CG person. Anybody that knows me or has listened to me or watched or whatever, or movie reviews on MCE, I hate overly CG'd things. And they did that CG so well. They did the CG on Thanos so well. So you have to do it right to not lose me in CG, that I'm not overanalyzing everything. So they kept what could have become a very, very muddled story. They did exceptionally well with it. They did wrap up Infinity War, and so parts of the movie just absolutely fantastic and loved, and parts of it drug a little bit for me, but number 6.
Captain America Winter Soldier.
Okay, so from 5 on here, you can basically interchange these a lot of times, and if I had done this list a couple months ago or a year ago or whatever, Winter Soldier may be 1 or 2. This is just how I was going through, and I was going, you know, if I'm gonna dial up a movie on Disney Plus, is it gonna be it? A lot of times, yes, but there's some others that I might watch first, so that's why they got the bump there. But Winter Soldier, man, what a great story, what great acting to it. You know, you hit the ground running with the battle on the battleship there, and you know, instantly captivating with it. Gets more depth to Chris Evans, Captain America, and just really shines. The interaction between Black Widow and him was great, and the angst that Cap feels for Bucky being the Winter Soldier and him trying to bring his friend back and all that, I thought was very, very authentic, and one of the best. I mean, a much more mature movie, I would say, than most superhero movies are, and just so well done. So Could easily be number one, but I've got it at 5.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
So talk about a movie that I went from, I have no clue who these characters are, I've never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, I start seeing TV promos of a talking raccoon, do what? A talking tree, or, you know, a moving tree or whatever. I'm like going, this is the weirdest thing ever. And so I actually didn't go, you know, in the first few days of it doing, and then I saw all these rave reviews and, you know, friends online talking about it or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, whatever, and love the movie. Don't know if I ever rank it number 1, but I think it will always be a top 5 Marvel for me. Just because it's so different, it's so unique, it's so, the humor in it is fantastic. All the actors, I think, are perfectly cast for their roles. Rocket is one of the coolest, you know, best characters in there. The voice acting that Cooper does for him is just, you know, you get his character, you get what he's about or whatever, so. Heart. That movie has so much heart to it, and to be totally set in space and fantasy and all that has so much heart to it about this family, you know, that they become, and you totally believe that. At least I totally believe that. So Guardians will always be right up there, and I thought Ronan is a very underrated villain. I thought Pace did an awesome job with him, and would actually have like to see more of his character somehow, some way. But anyway, Guardians, major thumbs up.
Avengers.
All right, down to the top 3, and this one could easily be number 1, depending on my mood for the day. One that I watch a ton. It is a go-to whenever I just want to veg out and watch one of the Marvel movies. So well done, something that, I mean, to know that they were doing an Avengers movie at the end of Iron Man 1, Nick steps out of the shadows and talks about the Avengers project or initiative, whatever he called it, and man, Hiddleston killed it as Loki in this, became such a fan of his. Actually, where I got into collecting was off of his performance in this movie. Hunted down, was just researching him and stumbled across a Hot Toys photo, and so Avengers 1 was actually what got me into the collecting scene, and I was just blown away by the realism of the Hot Toy. But anyway, his portrayal, having so many characters, introducing, you know, ones that we haven't met before, and to keep that ensemble cast in a cohesive way, the battle in New York, amazing, will always be a special place in my heart for that movie. So, fantastic. Avengers.
Iron Man.
All right, if you had asked me this a year ago, I might very well have said Iron Man being number 1, and this one was the hardest. What is 2 and what is 1? So I had to kind of think of it as I think Infinity War is a better movie overall. And why is that? Because I'm going to start with the negative Iron Man first. The end battle with the Ironmonger was a little bit anticlimactic. Either that battle could have been better, or just something could have been better in that end to it. So, such an amazing movie, and then kind of just coast in at the end there. But man, talk about, I mean, talk about nostalgic favorites. I mean, I knew who Robert Downey Jr. was from the 80s, but I mean, he had disappeared basically. And then all of a sudden he's cast as Tony Stark, and you're going, okay, I guess I can see that a little bit, you know, got the Playboy thing going or whatever. But I mean, Favreau basically completely rewrites what a superhero movie is, and the realism and the heart and the just everything about it, you know. It was the first to just put such a serious nature in that kind of the opposite of, like Ragnarok or Guardians, where it's wink, wink, or whatever. Although there was humor in it, but I don't know, just taking the material very, very seriously, and the way that he honored a character that, was near and dear to my heart, but Iron Man was never a favorite growing up. He was, top 5 character or something like that. But anyway, just to turn that in, the entire cinematic superhero thing on its head and say, this is what a superhero should be. He set the standard, and for that reason, maybe should be number 1.
Avengers Infinity War.
All right, number 1, Infinity War. Easily, will always stay in the tip-top Iron Man nostalgia, Infinity War, best movie. That's the way, that I look at which one, is better. It's very much like, to me, Star Wars and Empire. Empire is a better movie, but Star Wars always has some nostalgia because it set the bar that we've never seen before. That's what Iron Man is to me. So Infinity War, to me, is Empire. And much like Endgame is Return. Great, but not Empire, So it's funny, I never actually, until I'm sitting here talking, thought about that. But Infinity War, my goodness. Heart. And, the balls of the Russo brothers to kill off the entire, half the cast and favorite characters, and just that end. We'll get there to it in a minute. I'm going to the end first, but let's talk about Brolin, his performance. To take, again, I hate CG characters because I spend the entire movie picking them apart. The only thing I was doing there was drawing the ground of how a CG character carried the movie and stole the show, from the A-list of actors, that they have in this movie that we've followed, and then a CG character. We start off with him decimating Thor's people and beating the Hulk, without the stones, to establish this guy's a badass, and just the CG, Brolin's acting in it to emote through the CG, subtle emotions, intimidation, all the things that he pulled off. I don't think I'll ever be matched again. Once again, much like Iron Man set the bar for superhero movies, he set the bar for CG villains. Or CG characters, period. So, just so well done. So, anyway, skipping to that end there, and so many plot lines, the team's broken apart, and then the Russo brothers bring them back together, and has the balls to kill off half the cast, of characters that we know and love, to see them turn to dust. And I just remember the theater was totally silent, is all that was going on. You could hear people sniffing and all that. And I'll never forget, every time I watch this movie, whenever he comes down the stairs and sits down at the end and smiles, this lady that was sitting directly behind me like that, the theater's dead silent except for this sniffing. He sits down and smiles, and she goes, "You bastard." So I can never, whenever he smiles, all I can do is hear that at the end. The entire theater goes from dead silence to just eruption of laughter. So that was just one of those you had to be there moments. And so every time he smiles, I go, "You bastard." So that's my list. A lot of fun doing this. Be interesting to see in the next year. Does any of Phase 4 Sir Planet? Got to go see Eternals. Looking forward to Spider-Man. Got my tickets for that. Only paid $100,000 for them. No, I got them actually at face value through the site. Last 2 that were available, so that's coming up quick. All right, so who am I tagging? You probably could guess the Marvelous Knight, George Medina, and what's poppin', Seth. All right, guys, what's your top 10? Thanks for watching. Please hit like, sub, notification bell. Until next time, peace out.